All right, so yes, hello everyone. My name is David Eisenbacher with EZDRM, and we're going to talk about new ways to actually distribute content. They say that content is king, but the queen is getting the content from the source to each distributor as well as affiliates across the world. So we are all familiar with the standard way of doing content, where we have the source and we have distributors. And we use current technologies like satellite, as well as dedicated links to send content from source to each distributor for live, for VOD, for sports. And a lot of that has been done, if I can go back, maybe not. A lot of that's been done over, over BizCA, over SRT feeds, as well as other encryption standards around that. This is not about talking about the current technologies. This is about talking about something new to offer other flexibilities. And the reason why we want to have new flexibilities is the markets are constantly changing. We have fast channels now, and we also have the ability to now inject geo as well as regional information. So into increasing the flexibility is where we want to start talking about the OTT distribution. So we are going to be moving from more of the traditional transport streams to a manifest with CMAF, going from in-band encrypted messaging to out-of-band messaging for control and access, which allows you to do a lot more feature sets on not just access, but different qualities, adaptation sets per stream, as well as down to each affiliate, each distributor on a regional basis. And then we can also talk about the enhanced controls around that. So all this is based off existing standards. So since we're talking about CMAF and manifests, we're going to be talking about CPICs as handling not only what we're used to on the encryption level, but expanding the CPICs document into an entitlement level. So all those familiar with CPICs in general, it has to do a lot with packagers and KMSs to encrypt content. We're expanding those entitlements and those documents to an entitlement system that allows you to actually then decrypt and then to repackage content on the fly in the same handshake of CPICs. We're using CBCS encryption. So BizCA, SRT, other things, they encrypt the transport stream, the actual A to B link, but not the content itself. The content itself, the payload, is actually unencrypted. By doing CBCS encryption on the actual content, we are able to control access to not just the actual stream, but different qualities. We can have a segregation at your UHD, at your standard content, because not each distributor may need the 12K feed. You can now be able to sell and monetize your lower feeds out to other platforms who only need to show certain qualities. Around this is CMAF, so we can do chunk transfer. We can do extremely low-level transfer of this push from contributor to distributors by using the CDN as your cache. It's highly available access. So now it's more of a pull and not so much a push from the actual source side. And this also allows us to future-proof. We can now add in AV1 support, low latency HLS, low latency dash, which goes around the chunk-based transfer. And because we're using a CMAF container, we can now start introducing provenance. Provenance of the contributor, provenance of each distributor, and have that fall through the actual food chain to the actual end viewer. So, in taking this from the left-hand side, we have a normal processing feed. We're getting a source, and we are basically packaging that. We are taking an encoder and we're making a CMAF output. And that's normal OTT function. We're all used to that. Introducing DRM with key rotation via the CPIX handoff, that's all normal. What we are now talking about now is when we get to the center of the screen and on the right-hand side. So we're pushing to a CDN, and because it's manifest-based, we can manipulate those manifests. We can change the ads in there. We can also regionalize that content. So unlike just getting a standard SRT link, satellite, or a MES feed, we can actually now change that repository on the fly, by changing that manifest for each of the distributors, for the qualities that they're getting, as well as we can add personalization for them. On the right-hand side is where we're actually expanding out. So we're using standard CPIX for encrypting, but now we expand the CPIX document for entitlements. We are able to now, each distributor not only is a distributor with encryption levels, but now each channel, each adaptation set. So we can get extremely granular on what they're able to unlock and reoffer. And by using CPIX, we can actually make sure this is all digitally signed. So we can use 509 certs to actually secure this in a meaningful way that is granular, as opposed to just a generic EMM message that's inside of the actual feed. And then on the other side with management personalization, of course, there's the monetizations. You could then change what those outputs are and then send them out to OTT services, fast channels, as well as linear. Do you want to add anything here?
So just one thing on the receiver side. So it's a software receiver. So it's not. We don't have a secure pipeline. This is why we are using this technology here in order to protect the content from a distributor. So this is what we are trying to do here. So this is what we are trying to achieve, is to get a transcoder, and we can also have a B2C receiver that will be able to receive the same content and decrypt the same content. So it will work either for B2C or B2B.
So we'll see how well this animation goes, but this is just showing you kind of, in real time, how we're able to turn on and turn off feeds. We are able to, because out-of-band messaging, we're actually not changing the repository. That push from the ingest to the transcoder packager to the CDN is being unchanged. It's done once. But by being able to manipulate the manifest, as well as change that entitlement on a CPIX document in real time, we can turn on and turn off instantaneously via the key rotation interval sets, as well as the polling data around that, so that if a distributor has, if they have blackout periods for the channel, if they need to change other access rights, or if they're able to actually then change what quality levels are getting, such as from a higher UHD down to more of a lower over a lower stack, that can be done. It's all out of band, which allows that flexibility from the contributor to each distributor. So this is all around, not just about how encryption is, and when we all have these technologies of BizCA, of SRT encryption, and others. This is not about saying how this is, a better encryption. It's not. It's about the flexibility. It's about having the lower cost of ownership. It's about having these standards that we've developed over the years now used in the leveraging of a B2B market as well as in a B2C market. It allows you to, if you have to fail back to use traditional hardware appliances, and that works in line. But this out-of-band control, this using the standards of CPIX and CMAF, as well as being able to actually change that manifest on the fly, expands the options as well as the feature sets of being able to do regionalized content and monetization around that.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, so it's a new trend. So everything is coming from fragmented MP4. This is what we are seeing, and we are seeing that more and more. That it's not the MPEG-2TS that we are getting from the contribution, but more fragmented MP4. So it's not just the B2C that is moving, that's also the B2B that is moving to fragmented MP4, which makes a lot of sense for subtitling, other technologies. So here we are seeing that with manifest manipulator and all these concepts. We took some advantages from some technology that we saw that are beneficial, like BCA, that is already used by a lot of in the B2B market. So we try to mimic the approach in order for us to deploy either the same technology for BCA than the technology we are using here that is based on CPIX. That's the main goal by the technology we are proposing.
And I thought another slide in here, but basically the idea is to utilize the existing technologies of CMath, CPIX, and these open standards to contribute back to the standards as so therefore this can be adopted by any type of packaging, any type of transcoder, any type of process in the middle to actually be able to use these open standards around APIs. I think that's that.
Okay. Thank you, both you guys. Just stay up on stage for a little bit, and if we have any questions out in the audience, let me go get a mic to them.
Very nice. Congratulations. Question on the receiver side, if I am a service provider, is there a way I can use directly your feed? Or because of the DRM protection, it's going to be more complicated, and then you need to re-encode?
No, you need to have access to the DRM server in order to decrypt the content, and this can be provided to the system level that we provide on top of it. That will give you rights. If you have the rights to decode, then you can decrypt the content.
But typically, in a pay TV example, so content provider has some rights to the content. Pay TV wants to enable catch up on this time frame, start over on that time frame. So how do you manage the keys dynamically for each service provider?
So a service provider is basically making a CPIX call back to the entitlement system, and they're passing the service provider information. I am XYZ service provider trying to unlock this channel from this contributor, and in that allows us to confirm those access rights if you're allowed to unlock it, for how long for, and then the key structure is presented back to you to basically depackage the content in real time.
And this is all real-time transaction, or has to be started before the event?
This is real time.
Wow. Did you, okay. I want to see the scalability, but separate.
So the number of receivers that we are getting are the affiliates. So it's 2,000, 3,000. That's the number of receivers that we are targeting with this approach.
Okay. Other questions? Wow, there's too many. Yeah. Go over here.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you, guys. Just one clarifying question. So, did I understand correctly that you're actually rotating the keys? So this is like key rotation that you do on the street to sort of reinforce entitlement?
Yeah, the packager is asking for a key that depends on the content itself, depending on if it's sports or documentary. We will not protect exactly the same way. The idea is to get rid of one receiver that is leaking in the end. So if we don't rotate too often, we cannot get rid of one receiver, and that's one of the main goals of this approach, to be able to get one of the receiver that is leaking out of the scope for the contributor.
Right, and then sort of follow up on this one. So then the transcoder would re-encrypt though with a single key for the entire period, or you forward the key rotation basically?
So basically, the transcoder on the service provider side can either would always use a new key set. We never use the key set from here. We always repackaged on the fly, and that would call, they would hopefully call from us, or it can come from other KMS systems that they care about.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll take one more question, and then the next speaker will get ready. Okay.
Hello. Thank you for the presentation. I'm curious about what Mikel specified about the contribution that you said that you see lately. The fragmented MP4 is used for contribution with the BCA. I'm just curious, how is that efficient more than, well, okay, transport stream, fragmented MP4, it's clear, but in transport stream you use multicasts, and this is a very efficient way to contribute. You can join, you can do whatever you want without generating additional links. So how is that more efficient with the BCA and all that, if you can clarify? Thank you.
If you think linear, BCA is still an MPEG-to-TS is probably the best approach still to do that. If you think that you want to manipulate content and have access to many other contents and you want to produce from them, then fragmented MP4 is probably the better approach for that. So it's just that the contribution that we can do, we can still, from the encoder that is there, still produce the MPEG-to-TS to the satellite, and the IRD can switch between the two. Either it goes to the CDN or it goes to the satellite. And we can protect the same IRD with the same key that is based on what we do for the BCA. In that case, this is to protect which decoder is capable of decoding the content. And we can switch, there can be a failover between the two, but you won't get the same, it's not as powerful as the manifest manipulator, what you can do with MPEG-to-TS today. It's the same content to anyone. Here we are manipulating the content based on the receiver that will receive the content. So we will have different content depending on the region. If you are in Singapore, if you are in New York, if you are in another place, you will get the content that is manipulated just ahead of it. And you can produce much more easily what you can do today with a traditional playout.